Good starting place. Oh, wow. Interesting. Let me see that part. So, greetings, everyone. Welcome to CRWS Counter Racist Review of Mad Max Fury Road, directed by George Miller. And we're gonna have Mr. Monsoon get us started with some of his observations from this film.
Just real quick. This movie, along with the other two, pretty similar. It's kind of like, who are the white people? Who are the non-white people? Uh, uh, like it was giving me Star Trek vibes, but with like a lot of action. Um, like in the beginning, they were saying that there was a lot of like oil wars and water wars, and now you see the devastation with them being in the dry land. Um, uh, let me see. A lot of white survival going on. So, uh, but yeah, those are like the couple of observations I saw just from the beginning of the actual flick. So I mean,
Yeah, it seems like white people are, especially the white people who practice racism, they don't have a preference for what kind of future they're headed in or what kind of future happens, as long as they're in charge. Because even in this hellish wasteland, they are still in charge. And Mad Max's character says something really interesting. He says, "I exist in this wasteland." And I'm like, he's definitely not confused about where he is. And I'm pretty sure he's also aware that the wasteland he is in, it's the result of the system of white supremacy, and that system has definitely refined and evolved into what we're seeing in this film in a very, very grotesque way, and how they're treating each other. I know there's a lot of things. Let me see where I want to start with. Oh, these people, the pale people, the half-lives, they literally need to get blood from the organics, they call people. And this could be coded as how the system of white supremacy works. Racists who practice racism and white supremacy, white people who practice white supremacy, they need the life force from non-white people. And that's how I kind of chalk up how they're existing. And they also are living in a cave as well for the most part. And we also get that cave symbology when Mad Max escapes from them at the beginning of the movie. He literally escapes from the cave as they're chasing him. So really, definitely coded really, really, really interestingly. Like literally, he's escaping like a vampire's den, it seems.
He's wearing all brown.
Yeah, is that he's wearing all black. So yeah, in this instance, he's definitely being treated as a non-white person, but he still functions as a white person throughout the most of this movie by being very serious and capable.
I think what's interesting too about this movie is it seems to show how white people function. I mean, there were a few non-white people, but for the most part, everyone seemed to be white, and it shows how much they are glorified. Like
Okay. If folks like to share some of their notes.
I guess I mean another note. The Pale people made me think of the movie Powder. That came out in '95. You got this non-white. You got this white pale man, walking around, and pretty much like people looking at him crazy. But yeah, just those pale people just made me think of the movie Powder that came out in '95. I'm mute.
This movie, this movie has so many different tropes and things like that. Symbolism as well. A good point about coming out of the cave. The dark enemy was captured. I noticed the use of different classes of their own people, almost in an animalistic way, the way that they were milking the women. Like it was like this worship of like this white substance that kind of kept them like closer to humanity. Obviously, the same dystopian world where the same things that killed the previous world continue in the next world. White supremacy, obviously. My first note was the use of phallic symbolism between man and machine. The different placing of the camera scenes with the gun turrets and the gunner standing in front of them, all the usual things. Yeah. The use of blood with the parasites, the use of blood and chains to maintain a parasitic relationship between his captives. I found that interesting. And just one more, I noticed the term slig who eats slinger. I found that was interesting.
Yeah, the entire truck is to me one big giant black phallic symbol, and also the long guns, so many things, and the way these people function, post-apocalyptic, especially the war boys, they are a warring people, a warring tribe. This is how they function. And it's very symbolic to racist man and racist woman. They are a warring collective. They have mastered war. They have mastered deception. What did Immortal Joe do? Immortal Joe has trained these boys, these war boys, to think that they are going to Valhalla when they die, and when they get obliterated. He thinks he's trained these boys to think, hey, this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be, protecting the breeders. We're supposed to be thinking in this manner. And we definitely get an insight into how the Yurugu uses the abstract thinking, because we see a person. Max is what we should, consider to be a person. But they're calling him a blood bag, and they're using him for their means. And this is how racist man, racist woman have function. They think very abstractly, so it's easier for them to treat people as objects. A person became a blood bag. Very much evident in how the racist mind works, I suspect.
Yeah, I would say another thing I wrote down. I was pausing because I was pausing a lot during the actual flick, and they had like these like carvings on their body, or basically just like brands. The actual pale people, they had like a lot of brands, and then it just seems as though like as soon as they went into like war mode, it was just fun. They had the music playing. It was just wartime. It's time to like kill. It was FUN FUN FUN. I'll mute.
Yeah, I had to say, go ahead, Miss Action.
I noticed from the beginning the narration was over a black screen. That was the first thing I noticed. Very terroristic movie. lots of self-destructive behavior, like the spraying of silver paint on their mouths. I didn't understand what that was about. People are branded. People are seen as objects, resources, especially the females for breeding. And then you have a bunch of women hooked up to milking machines like dairy cows. This is not a place you want to be. And then when they get to the place, I noticed where Furiosa, I guess where she's actually from, the women who are left anyway, they're touching the younger females who have been used as breeders. But when the non-white female tries to touch one of the older white females, she's slapped. I can touch you, but you can't touch me.
I noticed that immediately. Yeah, and also the scene, since we're talking about the character, Zoe Kravitz character, there's also a scene where they give the gun to the white lady, but the white lady's no, I can't, I don't know how to work the gun. And then Zoe Kravitz character is trying to help, but they're like rushing her, and then they basically take care of it themselves because apparently, she couldn't help them. They snuck in a lot of racism, subtle racism with this character here, if you're paying attention. Also, race code war, the most prized possession in this film was first the blonde, pregnant white lady. And then when she died, who became next in charge, I think it was the redhead, if I was paying attention correctly.
No, I think it was the brunette that was the one that was pregnant. Then the one with the blonde hair, she also said that she was pregnant when they got to that to the actual end before going back. She was saying that she was pregnant, saying that she was gonna have like an ugly twin. So yeah, that's just clear it up.
Yeah, and I also had the note down. Yeah, war, chaos, destruction seems very pleasurable to the races in this film, to the war boys, to Immortal Joe, to Rictus. It just having like a literal blast in this environment, which has me thinking, hey, as long as white people can control the future, they don't care if it's a apocalyptic hellscape full of misery. As long as they're still in charge, they're still able to, maim and practice deception and violence. Hey, they're all for it, because there's absolutely nothing constructive happening in this film. This is not something we should be projecting ourselves in, but logically, this is somewhere the system definitely can't take us if it wants to, and the third film we've seen, where first saw 28 Days Later, and they saw Time Machine, and now this one, Mad Max, where, hey, because of the system of white supremacy, the future is horrible, and white people, they don't mind, they're still in charge, and they still have their subjects, so everything's groovy with their business of white supremacy. So motivation to want to solve the race problem, because they have no problem with us reaching these fallout like situations. Go ahead.
Pretty much lots of white sacrifice, and it was a win at all costs type of mentality. So I just wanted to add those two things too.
Yep, and definitely white people coming together like Voltron to get things done, work together. We have like a racist woman working with racist men to survive, to exist. Yeah, definitely how the system is maintained, and there's a lot of coded messages in this film, where there's the redhead. She refers to like the war boy. You know, he's a psychopath. You know, accurately can be described a psychopath, sadistic person, vampiric, also because he has to use another person's blood to exist. You know, he's taking Mad Max's blood. But what does the redhead say about the war boy? He's just a kid. You know, he doesn't know any better. You know, and I'm like, still incorrect behavior, but she's defending him. Thought that was interesting. Thought that was interesting. There was we actually saw a baby being born, almost being born, and during the super war chaotic scene, and I was like, yeah, that's symbolic right there. That's us. You know, we are born into the war, white supremacy. Most of us don't know. You know, those doctors might as well be wearing combat helmets and flak vests, and you know, enemy insignia labels on them, because a lot of the times the so-called doctors are suspected racist, and you know, definitely are being born into a war. If you're a non-white person, you're being born into a war against you. Certainly, this war is being conducted by racist man and racist woman, and it kind of functions like the war in this film. You know, a lot of deception, a lot of deceit, and the goal is, you know, your life force in the form of mistreatment. Every time you're getting mistreated, they're taking something away from you. I suspect some call it energy, life force, blood. It could be, and also the I think his name was, I forgot the characters was mentioning it, but oh, he called it a family squabble. You know, because this film is, you know, the film is mostly about suspected racists. The only and they call it a family squabble in this film. You know, all this over a family squabble. And I thought that makes sense. There's only one family on planet Earth, and that's a white family, the race family. And also, he says it's over healthy babies, which is code for white babies, because you know all of these women here are going to produce either white baby or babies that look white or have light skin, you know. So that was also coded in there, healthy babies. And what we see happening in 2022, all the controversy going over with abortions and them trying to reduce the number of white children who will be aborted, you know. So very, very good timing with watching this film, because again, family squabble is over healthy babies. And the system of white supremacy, white people will often get into conflict about how they're going to maintain the system, and especially how they're going to go about producing more white children who are needed to maintain the system. The people eater character had a blackened. A lot of characters had like blackened spots on them for some reason. There's the preacher character. I think he's called here he is, a people eater. He had a blackened nose, could mean something, but there he is, blurry.
Yep, it was. Yep, that was his name. The people eat. He was going through the cast names. Oh, wow. I mean,
Yeah, and also there was the scene where Rictus discovers he would have had a baby brother, and he would have been perfect in every way. Why was the baby perfect in every way? I would have asked Lilia if she didn't have to leave. And I suspect the answer would have been a truthful answer would have been because it's a white baby. You know, that's, you know, a white child was killed in this film, or died in this film.
A white
He was,
child with no genetic defect.
yeah, yeah, he was perfect in every way. Because again, thanks for that, Miss Action. Because I also wrote down that these pale people who seems like spend a lot of their time under the surface, under the ground, they have a lot of genetic defects. It seems like they're kind of like, seems like they're mutants. That's the new I wrote down. They seem like they may be mutants or something like that. Could be symbolic of what we're dealing with when we say racist man, racist woman, and racist child. One of the breeders, the referred to the guns that white people created as anti-seeds, anti-seeds, and something like that. And I declare that anti-seeds is not only, of course, against life, but against before life, against pre-existence. But something that caught my eye, that terminology, anti-seed, because you're not only destroying the seed, but what is the potential of the seed, what could have been. So that was interesting. Mad Max said towards the end of the film, if you can't fix what's broken, you'll go insane. That's an interesting line. I think he fails to realize that he's actually already insane and he's living in a insane system already. So I really don't know what he was attempting to convey with that. 2022 right now, everyone in the system, I suspect, is quite insane to have to be subjected to such incorrectness 24/7. You can't be able to healthy state of mind to be in this system, to be on this planet, period. Oh yeah, there's a question asked by a white woman to one of the war boys. I think to one of the main war boys. This one, she asked, "Who killed the world?" And if you were to ask the question 2022, if you were to modify that question, maybe change it into 2 questions: Who killed the world if the world is labeled dead? Who killed the world, and who is killing the planet/world? The people in charge, racist man and racist woman, would be those people destroying, killing, harming the planet. So she should know that. She's a white woman. I suspect she knows that, but practicing deceit, it takes 2 to tango, and racist man and racist woman are to blame for the current incorrect condition of planet Earth. You just think about the amount of resources spent making this piece of propaganda. Like, you could have fed a whole non-white village for a couple of years, but no, let's spend it all making this film. That's white supremacy right there in effect as well.
I had that note written down too as well. I kind of got the feeling, like, I thought she almost said the war boy is the one who is at the root who killed the world, like the way she said it, like, because there was like it was still this conflict, like a battle of the sexes, even in the future when there's nothing. And I do agree with I forget who said it about the white woman is still the most important thing in the future, because I found it so just movie like how even in the desert, white women can still be able to take a shower and waste water on the ground. I found that was and then use it as a phallic weapon against him when he had the shotgun in his hand. It's pretty symbolic.
Yep, in the future, white people are still controlling water and wasting it, it seems. and also in the future killing everyone and everything, it seems. Yeah, and also in the beginning, Immortal Joe said some really interesting things. He says, don't get addicted to water." I'm like, hey, that's a really interesting relationship to have with water right there. And it reminded me of something some kind of racist scholars have said about white people and their relationship with water and how they have to be kind of educated on why they should be drinking water instead of just wine. And we see a lot of the religion of white supremacy being echoed here with the reference to Norse religion and Viking practices of like Valhalla, battle to a glory death, and then you'll achieve a warrior's ends in Valhalla. Yeah, just religious madness, just religious nonsense to train the mind to train the mind so the body is able to do ridiculous, insane acts of violence, which is often done in the name of religion. They had the whole crusades about that. And it seems like these boys, these pale creatures here in this film, are on a crusade, for their immortal Joe to get back his captives, his sex slaves, rape slaves. Basically what's going on here in this film. And also, we see this film, the racist mind in effect. You, non-white person, you are a commodity. You are a resource to them. If they could, they would definitely appreciate having, being able to glass up your milk and your blood and sell it off in a grocery store. If there wouldn't be a major controversy behind that. But that's what's happening in this film, essentially. Just the ultimate form of white supremacy. It's only over. Yeah, but we need your blood and we need your milk. Yep, and we're gonna wear all this black to feel powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, the director, he had originally made this series from this news reporter who had been doing this story about this real oil crisis that happened in 1973 in Australia. That's where Mad Max comes from, the story. And it was like a look at how the people like in the outback really started hoarding oil, like committing acts of violence and all this craziness. And that's where this whole movie concept comes from. So it's pretty telling, speak of how these movies just reflect real life. And I definitely had how the consumption of dark substances, like it said right in the beginning, that the world was ruined because of the fight for oil. And then in the future, they're still fighting over oil, and the leader's name is Captain Joe. I find that pretty ironic as well.
Yeah, because I had wrote down Black Matter after I wrote down the oil and water war. So yeah, Black Matter.
Yeah, and right now, 2022, there's a big thing going around with oil. Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
like
yeah,
I would say also for like the end, it was giving off this feminist vibe. And come to find out, the actual director, he's an actual feminist. I don't know how that's probably, but yeah, reading right now it says that he's a feminist. I was catching that vibe too. So I'm mute. Oh, hold up. Did anybody know why? Like every time it like went dark, it was blue, and when Theron's character was driving through that smoke, it was like this orange and red color. Did anybody like note that? 'Cause, like, I found that.
um, I didn't get any coded messages from that. That
Okay.
I would chalk that up to cinematic flair the director
Gotcha.
is going for.
Gotcha.
And the same thing with those crow people or the people on the giant stilts. That's also
Yeah,
just for cinematic flair that don't really yeah, you know, unless you just want to chalk it up to scary dark creatures roaming about in a
gotcha.
desert.
No
That's
problem.
that's very telling you say that, because I wrote a note down when they were talking with the ladies in the desert, and they said, yeah, the crows or the black birds are the ones who kill the soil. And I agree with that, with these dark creatures who, made everything bad. So now we have to wear white in the desert, to still maintain some kind of civilization, even though it's total ridiculousness and murder. But
Total devastation.
man, devastation, but yet still consumption. Like as you all were saying, I thought about it. So yeah, the consumption of the black oil, but yes, the most precious thing is milk. So is it like a big, like sexual, like homoerotic latte factory? Like what is going on? Like they have brand. It reminded me of like it almost reminded me of like a Dr. Ollie Monroe mixed with like Apocalypse Now, where like you have like this native, who almost like if Darth Vader had like a sex code, he wore a white suit instead of a black suit, and then you have like your kind of slave driver thing with like the story of George Washington wearing teeth and like that skull mask he wore to breathe in. Those are probably real teeth from somewhere.
Very, very interesting. I wonder if I slipped my oh, here it is. Another thing I noticed about Immortal Joe, he also seems to be like the children in the beginning. Let's see if I can get to it. The children seem to be helping him to stay alive by blowing some sort of substance on those sores or something he had going on. But yeah, system, here it is. System of race and white supremacy, the children definitely must be subject and dominated and under the system's control as well. Their minds must be under racist man and racist woman's control 24/7. So yeah, this the children are definitely captured along with us, also children, but most of us don't realize that.
Yeah, and I'm also saying that they're going to do a fifth flick on this. This comes out next year. It's called the Mad Max: The Wasteland, and then they'll do a flick where it's just Furiosa coming in 2024. So it's some type of spin-off. Same director, George Miller. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah, and what you said, Mr. Yawu, reminds me of a note I had with like, did anyone else get the vibe at some point in this movie? Because some point in the movie, they're killing people who aren't even speaking English. Like they're in the desert and they're speaking people. I mean, they're killing people who's speaking like a foreign language. And it seems like some of these people have like, long hair or like long, and they just look a little interesting. So I get the vibe that hey, they're just in the desert killing non-white people. That's
Exactly.
that's what I got. They snuck in a little Wild West, non-white massacre in this film.
That's very chilling. You say that because I have a note where they use the word manifest destiny.
Oh
when
yeah,
they're going toward the east. Okay, so watch this. So I have manifest destiny for the racist woman and man to reach Valhalla, or the region of green in the east.
Yeah. I have something caught that Manifest Destiny has not ended, has never ended. You know, the Manifest Destiny say we must remain in charge of these non-white people. That's a Manifest Destiny. That's what we see here. Not a single non-white person of any constructive value was in this film. We do see an image of a black male at the very, very beginning for some reason. And there's a, when we see him on the screen, we hear the lines, let us die or you let us die. So, that can mean a lot of things, but yeah, no constructive images of black people in this film at all. Just how the racists like it. But you can tell that this film was the time and energy they put into making this film was wow, meticulous. And if just a fraction of that effort could be spent on helping non-white people, wow, a lot of problems that non-white people suffer from would be alleviated and probably solved as well. But we're dealing with racist men and racist women, and they're not interested in solving our problems, but they are interested in maintaining their system and promoting how they want to do things, deception, violence. That's what they're about. That's what they're about promoting. And they make it look real good while they're doing it. Yeah.
I definitely noticed how everything that had to do with the actual killing and technology and the vehicles were always dark in color.
Indeed, everything. Yep, yeah. And one of the brothers who got blinded by Furiosa, he had two long black pistols, wearing all black. Hit this guy right here, just so in your face with just you know compensating for the lack of having color by drenching yourself in color attire, dark attire.
Well, I also have how Furioso is kind of like the anti to the women she saved. So she kind of has that dark essence as well because she has one arm missing. So she has to use this dark tech to be able to be a driver in the first place. And then she wears this kind of half blackface makeup over her eyes. And also, Charisse Theron is a true Afrikaner in the first place. So, these movies still go back and forth with real things, so they can always be laughing in the background as well.
Yeah. This is the white woman that, hey, the white audience, this is how you all should be behaving in a manner of, don't answer nobody questions, especially if you answering those questions is gonna, sabotage your own plans, your own goals, because Furiosa, very, very, very codified, very, very serious as well. And I do see that what you said, Yahoo, about her having to compensate for having a missing arm with with a dark thing, a dark piece of technology, but that makes her more powerful, and it makes her more capable. There's something she could not have done in this film had she not had this claw And as for the black face, yep, it's just a color symbol to, you know, make us the audience view her as more powerful and make her character come off as more powerful just because she has that blackness on her. Yeah, that's
I had took note of that too. I said black paint. Also, Zoe. Well, I mean, going back to Zoe's character, her name is Toast in this movie. Toast the Knowing. I
her
don't
name
think
is what?
her name is Toast the Knowing. Like, you
Toast,
know,
like food.
yeah, yes.
Oh, I
Toast.
see it. Yeah, toast right here. Yeesh. Um,
Yeah, and like I'm looking at the other white women's names. Like one is named Capable. The other one that was I believe
Splendid. The
the
main one was Splendid, the best
yeah,
one.
yeah. Oh, so yeah. I said always look at the name. Always look at the name.
Yep.
Um
One
and
was named Fragile.
and then I think one of Immortan Joe's I would say right hand man, if you want to use that metaphor. His name was Rictus Erectus. So again, phallic symbol. Uh, yeah. I
That's
mean,
kind of a that's kind of a throwback to one of the older ones because the leader of the motorcycle gang, his name was Lord Humongous. So there's I definitely have in my notes. Yeah, first thing, phallic symbols and other things like how you were talking about, like the consumption of people. Like I have written that the use of skull and bones is like the usual trope in almost
mhm.
all movies. Like it's hard to find almost skull and bones in anything almost. I find that very telling.
Yeah, like I mean, I had took note of that. I mean, I didn't write it down, but it was in our faces the whole movie. So it really was no point of me like writing that down. But yes, yeah, that was like in the movie a lot. All of the skulls and you doing stuff like that. Yep.
Yeah, and the name I did not know. I know his name was Rictus, but come on,
Yeah.
this is just clowning. Just they're joking with this stuff. His name is all right. So let me get the character on the screen. Let me get Rictus on the screen, who is a stand-in for his name Rictus Erectus. So his character is supposed to be the ultimate powerful white man, at least some would call the alpha male, but he's still defective because he still has to use some sort of apparatus to stay alive. But that's his character, just a giant, powerful white phallic, I suspect. Here he is. So, right here. Oh, finally. So yep. Interesting. And Rictus Erectus kind of sounds like could be code of anti-sex as well.
Yeah, like I said, this movie is very interesting because I mean I never seen the original, so I'm pretty much the only thing I know about the actual first three flicks is that Tina Turner's in it. That's it. So good in that. Uh, very in, insightful flick here.
Yeah, this
I mean,
is this is an excellent movie to hey you want a movie where the racism is kind of easy to spot out with the names. Just turn to this movie because you have the black female, she's food, she's toast, she's something, she's your breakfast. And we had the white people being capable, splendid, and I suppose fragile, and the dag, um that is a very common racist trope, but that one's so obvious. Who else? yeah, folks have any notes to share, please do, because I do not have any more notes. So if you have notes, share them so we can wrap this up. If folks do not have any more notes to share.
I'm done. I just want to just say this movie is a good example of why we need to find a way to end the system of race and white supremacy as soon as possible.
Yep. The final thing I'll say is any feature, no matter how horrific, is okay as long as racist men and racist women can stay in charge. And that should be more than enough motivation for us to want to solve this race problem. Alrighty, folks, you know what to do. Share this information wherever you can. Like, comment. Here, go to producejustice.com and get a code book so you may participate in the effort to produce